train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Blessed is everyone who fears the Lord, who walks in his ways. You shall eat the fruit of the labor of your hands. You shall be blessed, and it shall be well with you.
I am the way, the truth, and the life.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight.
All right, let's stand in honor of his word. In Psalm 128, it should be on the screen. Blessed is everyone who fears the Lord, who walks in his ways. You shall eat the fruit of the labor of your hands. You shall be blessed, and it shall be well with you. Your wife will be like a fruitful vine within your house. Your children will be like olive shoots around your table. Behold, thus shall the man be blessed who fears the Lord. The Lord bless you from Zion. May you see the prosperity of Jerusalem all the days of your life. May you see your children's children. Oh, peace be upon Israel. This is the word of the Lord. You can be seated. Ain't nobody got a perfect family in the house, all right? So if you think you do, you're dead wrong, all right? Listen, when I'm going through this series for the next 4 weeks, please do not think that I am pretending that I have it all figured out, because you just ask my wife or ask my parents today, and they will tell you, all right? There's a long way that we have to go. Everybody is a work in progress, and so are families. You know, families, this is kind of interesting. Within the last 5 years, it's grown to where there's a lot of families who have sold their homes and purchased RVs or campers, and they're living their life out on the road. 1.5 million Americans today live their life on the road. Pretty wild. But you know, even if your home is not necessarily on wheels, you know, it's moving, all of us are on the move. All of us are making decisions, setting priorities, trying to achieve goals that are set out for us. And some of us as parents, we've been shaped by our past. Maybe it's past hurt, or maybe it's great wins that we've experienced in the past. You look at your parents and they're like heroes to you. Some of us, we have heroes as parents, and some of you may have grown up and you wish you could have traded yours. But nonetheless, all of us have been shaped by our past, our current passions, and also we're setting this trajectory in life by the way that we spend our time, energy, resources, by what we talk about on the road or around our table. And so there are many different paths that families are taking. I'd like to describe just a couple of them with you. One of them is the athletic family way. You know, there's a lot of teams out even this morning practicing. I don't know if you knew that. But in the athletic family way, and as I walk through these, listen, I love sports. You probably can understand that by now by how often I talk about them. But when this is a foundation for your life, where sports becomes almost everything, it looks like this. They build their identity around winning, health, discipline, and achievement through sports. Their lifestyle includes traveling for tournaments, early morning practices, lots of team gear, and sports camps in the summer. And I'm not saying any of those things are necessarily bad, but if that is the foundation for your family, you're off track from what God has designed for you. There's also the academic achievement kind of family way, the path that some parents are guiding their children. They value intelligence, excellence, preparation for college and scholarships. And listen, everybody needs scholarships, right? Amen? All of us need those things as we're going towards college or whatever the Lord has planned out for us. But still, that cannot become ultimate. Their lifestyle sometimes revolves around tutors, SAT prep, AP classes, academic competitions. It's always push more, more, and more. There's also an adventurous experience kind of family. And this one prioritizes exploration. It's like, man, the whole world is there. Let's go discover it. And so they're trying new things, pushing new limits, living life to the full. You'll see them always going on the next trip after next trip, and it's always working for the next experience. Camping, hiking, mission trips, spontaneous outings, defining their lifestyle. Once again, I love going to different places, but if that is the foundation for which families are living, they're off track. The creative artistic family, they prioritize music lessons, art classes, theater productions. The expressive individualistic kind of family way or path is one where families value authenticity, self-definition, emotional affirmation. Sometimes their children are encouraged to discover and define their own identity. Sometimes that includes gender, sexuality, beliefs, and values, while resisting. Parents don't want to put a lot of pressure on their kids because they're afraid that their kids one day are going to look back and say, you brainwashed me. But listen, if that's the way you're leading your children and your family, you're off track. Because all of us need brainwashed. All of us need it. Because every bit of information that's coming into you is washing you. It's forming us. And parents, according to Charles Barkley, I don't know if there's any Charles Barkley fans in the house, but Charles Barkley said this. He said he should not be the role model for athletes today or for younger kids. He told everybody that you shouldn't look at an athlete or a famous person as being the role model. You should look at your parents. And he got criticized for it. The status success family, this is a path that some families take. They build their identity around achievement, their image, finding security through material success. And so they try to put pressure on their kids to go for the jobs that's going to make more money because more money means more happiness, when really sometimes more money just means more problems, right? Their lifestyle includes living in desirable neighborhoods, driving high-end vehicles, maintaining a polished social and professional image, involving their kids. Oh, this is very important. They got to be in the prestigious activities. It's when kids start to become trophies in their parents' hands. Based on the success of their children, they feel like they've obtained something or they're becoming something, living their life through that. But this is not the family way that God has designed for us. Now, as I walk through that list, I'm tempted towards all of those. I'm tempted towards all of them. I'd love to, be on the ball field or trying to help my children grow academically in all those areas. Many of those things are wonderful. It's just not the foundation. The foundation of the family way is in verse 1. Blessed is the man who fears the Lord and walks in his ways. Fears the Lord. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, Solomon tells us. It's the wisdom. Wisdom is kind of like this secret way of life, this secret knowledge to some degree, somewhat secretive, that you can only get it if you fear the Lord. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, but it's also the beginning of knowledge. In the book of Proverbs, it says, those who say that there is no God, they're fools. They're fools. Romans 1 tells us that God has displayed his beauty, his power, his existence in nature, that we should be able to see. It's common sense. God has made it. You don't have to go to this apologetics class or some other class to study from brilliant people to come to a realization that God exists. It's clear. But what Romans 1 tells us is that people take the existence of God, all the evidence that he's laid out, and they suppress the truth. They hide it because they want to do life their own way, go down a different path. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. If you don't fear the Lord, you cannot be sure to know anything at all. Did you know that? It is the beginning of knowledge. A lot of times we let smart people, what we think is smart people, according to society today, the moment somebody says there is no God, somehow society thinks this person's brilliant. When the Bible says they're foolish, actually don't understand anything at all. Some of them could be tempted to think that they're living nothing but a dream. Because how would you know? How would you know? It's like the Matrix, that's right. Whoever's with me over here, it's like the Matrix. But see, the fear of the Lord, if you don't know God and fear the Lord, you cannot be sure that you know anything at all. Go down that rabbit trail. I'd love for you to. If you want to, I'll go with you to help you find out that really you don't really know much of anything. I do not mention that to shame you. I mention that merely to help you. Because everyone knows there is a God. But to fear the Lord, you must know him. To fear him, does that mean to be terrified of him? There was a teacher back in the day that I was somewhat terrified of. He was 5'3", and his name was Mr. Worley. Incredible, brilliant teacher, South Laurel High School. And this man, when he walked down the hallway, his feet, his steps were they were silent. You couldn't hear when he was coming. It wasn't like some big giant was coming through with these broad shoulders. No, it was this little man who was walking down the hallway, and literally when you saw him, it would momentarily take your breath away. And here's why. Because he held his students to the highest of standards. What made him unforgettable was not just the standards that he set, but the way that he would look into your soul when he talked to you. It's kind of crazy. He knew you by name. He not only knew me, but he knew all of my siblings. And he would remember all the different things that they had achieved or not achieved. And he would tell me, hey, I remember meeting him for the first time. Oh, you're the last Martin of the clan. And I said, yes, the most favorite as well, you know. But I remember him saying, here's what your sister did. Here's what your brother did. Let's see what you have to have in the tank, Brett. Let's see what you got for the next year, for AP US history. This man was amazing. When he looked you in the eye, you had his full, undivided attention. He wasn't distracted by anything else. He made you feel seen and important. He made you feel like you should stand tall as a man. When you entered his class, passing the AP US history exam was not this teacher's only goal, as though he was trying to lift up his stats and have more and more students pass the AP US exam so that he could get more accolades and people would look at him as the greatest teacher across Kentucky, even though there's many times he would win that reward. No, his mission was deeper than that. He wanted to change students' lives, and that's what he did. You worked harder than you ever thought you could in Mr. Worley's class. You cared about history. You know why you cared about history? Because he cared about it. Seriously. It's like within the class, throughout the semester, your desires would begin to shift because his passion and his values would begin to reshape your own. Even to this, he liked Pepsi. Who likes Pepsi? I mean, come on, man. When you can have a Coca-Cola, right? But he would have these stacks of Pepsi. He would consistently put them in the refrigerator, and he would give them out to anyone who aced his test, which were very difficult. But I'm like, why? At the beginning of the class, the very first couple classes that I had, the first couple weeks, I was like, why would I really want to ace the test other than trying to get an A in the class? Because I don't want Pepsi. But as the semester went on, I started to long for one of those Pepsis. And the reason why is because it became an honor to receive anything from that man. It was him. It wasn't the Pepsi. It was Mr. Worley that all of us began to grow in awe of. We began to fear him, respect him, because every time we came in class, he wasn't too busy to shake our hand and to encourage us to stand tall, to be who you are, to be who God has made you. He was a strong Christian, and that's one of the reasons why he impacted students in such incredible ways. So much so that when you walked into the final exam of AP US history, it wasn't about really accomplishing getting a 3 or a 4 or a 5. so that you never had to take history ever again in your life. That's really what I was hoping to accomplish at the beginning of the semester. But now it's no longer about that. It was all about walking into that exam, doing the very best I could to honor a man who had invested so much in me throughout that year. And that is what it's like to fear the Lord, but a fraction of it. That is what it's like to fear the Lord, to know the Lord. To know him isn't just to be transformed by him to change a Sunday, but it's to change your life. And when you look at this Psalm 128, and you see these blessings, at first, if we were to be honest, some of us in the room would not be impressed. We're not impressed by the blessings. You know why? Because we want to be put into the Hall of Fame. We want to drive the nicest, the biggest vehicle. We want to provide for our children's children by making as much as we possibly can. And these are set goals that we have. We got to push. Because if we were to look at Psalm 128, the big question is this for you: is that enough? Because what the Lord says, this is a good blessing of life. One that starts with the foundation of fearing the Lord and then bears results. Starts privately and then it begins to extend in a person's work. Here's the fruit of the family way, is in verse 2. It begins to shape the man and what kind of work he does. Do you see it in verse 2? You shall eat the fruit of the labor of your hands. Listen, the Bible talks about that all of us as men ought to be working. And you ought to work with your hands. Now, sometimes some of us are more labor intensive, our jobs are. Some of them, they're more mentally exhausting. And sometimes I'm tempted to be like, okay, I'm gonna take some sandpaper. Every time I shake one of y'all's hands, I'm gonna take that sandpaper and make sure you guys feel like, all right, I'm doing a day's worth of good work, you know? But the thing is, what we find within verse 2 is that work is a wonderful blessing. When you look at Psalm 128, it makes you think of Genesis chapter 1. You know, where God made the man, and before he gave him a woman, he gave him a job to do, gave him a mission, gave him something to do with his own hands. And that is part of the blessing of God. Some of us, we walk into work and we're just waiting for retirement. But God has a purpose. He has contentment for you. He has something laid out for you, because your work is not just merely paying the bills, but it's a worship towards him. You know, if I fear the Lord and I'm walking with him, I'm in awe of all of who he is. If I'm blown away by his brilliance, by his glory, by his gentleness, by his love for me, that he would send his son to die on Calvary, if I'm shaped by the Lord, then when I walk into work, I've got a reason to put my hands to labor, because what I'm doing is displaying his beauty, displaying how wonderful he is, whether it's in writing an email, whether it's drilling in a screw, whatever it could be, whatever your work is, it is worship to the King. He wants to bring you contentment for now and also down the road. Your purpose is not just earning a paycheck, storing towards retirement, and then moving on. It is to make a difference wherever the Lord has placed you. It's not just pastors that's called into a work. No, it's all of us. So take great joy in putting your hands to work, no matter if you're male or female. Man, what a wonderful blessing it is to go in to work and to receive fruit from it. Now, we see industry at work here, that we ought to work extremely hard, diligent, and do honest work with integrity. Because what we're doing is we're taking the fear of God, walking in his ways, is to do honest work. But also we see that there's a sense of prosperity. And I'm not saying that this is all found in riches. Please hear me correctly. I'm not preaching no prosperity gospel up here. But there is a prosperity that is for you. As you fear the Lord, doing honest work, people will begin to notice you, begin to see that you're a person that's trustworthy. Now, if you don't fear the Lord and you're just looking to climb over people and stomp on people on your way to the top, just realize that is not the family way, and you're building your house on sand. And watch out. If they don't notice it, your workplace, the Lord does. And so therefore fear the Lord. Move on from prosperity, though, into security. security. Life will go well with you, it says. This is not a perfect life, but it is a life of peace. One that after you work, you come home and you see the fruit of your labor, your beautiful bride, your spouse, and also your children. But then later on, you're going to be able to lay your head to rest. I'd like for you to move to Psalm 127. Psalm 127, right before it. Unless the Lord builds the house, the builder builds in vain. Unless the Lord watches over the city, the watchman stays awake in vain. It is in vain that you rise up early and go late to rest, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives to his beloved sleep. Behold, children are a heritage of the Lord. The fruit of the womb, a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Blessed is the man who fills his quiver full of them. He shall not be put to shame when he speaks with his enemies in the gate. Do you realize this man can lay his head down to sleep? One who fears the Lord and has a job where he puts his best effort into it, comes home to his family, loves his family well, he can go to bed at night and not rise up. Listen, some of us are staying up way too late and getting up way too early. And we're trying to build something that's like on sand. Listen, unless the Lord builds the house, my friends, unless the Lord builds your family, you build in vain. Go to sleep. That's sometimes one of the most godly things you can do at night is to go to sleep. Take that gummy or whatever it is that helps you fall asleep, all right? In other words, this is what you're created for, all right? Prosperity, industry, security. Not a perfect life, but one at peace, a good life. You know, when it says that it will go well with you, that word well is actually taken from Genesis chapter 1. It's good, G-O-O-D, good life. After every single time God creates something on one day, what does he say? The Lord saw that it was good. It's good. Are you satisfied with good? You know, there's a lot of things out there in life that says, oh, don't settle for the good when you can get the best. But did you know that the Lord's good is the best? Sometimes we have to have the Lord begin to reshape our mind, reshape our values, help guide our feet. Blessed is the one who fears the Lord, who walks in his ways. You shall eat the fruit of the labor of your hands. You shall be blessed. It shall be well with you, friends. Your wife will be like a fruitful vine within your house. This is not saying that necessarily every single mom should be a stay-at-home mom. We see this in Proverbs 31, where a lady, a wife, a mother of the home, she also uses her hands to work and earn a pay for the family, to help the family in different ways. And so there's different ways, honestly, for us to think through what does it look like best for our family and what the man should do and also what the woman should do that's leading the way. But it is to say that when this man comes home, he shall find his wife being a fruitful vine. A fruitful vine. What's a fruitful vine bring? It brings joy. A fruitful vine brings sweet grapes, but also wine. When do you drink wine? I'm not talking, okay, some people are for it, some people are against it. I ain't trying to make no defense. But let me say this, that most of the time when people are drinking wine, they're having a good time, all right? They're having a good time. And you know, that is what the Lord wants to make for your marriage. He wants your marriage to be a good time, a great time, a fruitful vine, one that you want to come back to more and more and more, that she's the best part of your day. Is she the best part of your day? Or do you want to stay late at work so you can neglect what's at home? Are you trying to achieve something? Climb, go. And then you're missing out on what's taking place? Now, there are seasons where you have to put in more work. I'm not saying that. There are seasons where it's like that, but that should only be a season. It shouldn't be a life. Come home and enjoy the fruitful vine of your spouse. You know, all of this starts up with fearing the Lord, though. It's going to be hard for that wife or that spouse to be a fruitful vine when she doesn't fear the Lord. If she's wanting that husband to try to get more and more and more so she can drive a nicer vehicle and live in a bigger house, if that's the case, she's not fearing the Lord. What's going to happen is there's going to be problems that's going to set in. For that husband, it's the same way. Do you fear the Lord, friend? Because if you do, you will learn to walk in his ways as it pertains to your marriage. To your marriage. You want to know how to make your marriage better? It's to walk in the ways of the Lord. Let's keep going. She's a fruitful vine within your house, but also, what do you have at the table? See, what you find is not that the blessing is what's on the table, it's what's around it. These are olive shoots, plants that are starting to grow. They're getting ready to become, it's a slow, steady process. Yes, it is. Parenting is tough. But it's moving to try to help these children grow strong and enduring adults. We're not raising kids, we're raising adults, my friends. I don't know if you know it. But sooner or later, with great nurture from both mom and dad, or from the church, as the church comes around them, these children will begin to grow into becoming these amazing olive trees that not only produce olives, but also produce shade throughout their lives in the community. We want to shape our children. It's at the table. What's your dining room table or your kitchen table, wherever y'all eat? What's that look like? Do you have stuff stacked there? Like, some of us, man, we got to get a little bit more organized within our life. And there's a home for everything. Isn't that a amen? Every single item has a home. You got to put it there. And that item's home is not the table. Because you know what happens at the table? Relationship, cultivation, joy, fruitful vine is at the table. Well, some of our tables, we've got so much stuff stacked there, it'd take a month for us to organize and put it away. Most of that stuff, you know what you need to do through it? Throw it in the trash, because you ain't ever gonna miss it. Just throw it in the trash. But some of us, our dining room table, kings couldn't even sit at. You know why? Because you got this fine china, and it's all wrapped up, and it looks beautiful, but nobody would ever be able to use that handkerchief. If somebody did use that handkerchief, it's like, psh, man, what did you do to my table or whatever, right? Some of our tables are so nice that children, if they spilled chocolate milk, they'd get reprimanded for it. And you know what? They should. No, I'm just kidding. But your table is a place for ministry. You know, Jesus had 3 years to turn the world upside down. You know what he did? He took time and had meals with people at the table. He sat down. If your minivan looks like our old minivan does, you're doing something wrong. Our old minivan, it looked like something was growing, underneath those seats when we look under it. And you know what the evidence is sometimes, and that was my fault. Listen, I'd blame it on Lindsay, and Lindsay would go look at my car, and she'd say, your car ain't no different, and ain't nobody even in it except you. You're the only one living in it. That was a common conflict back in the past, but it ain't anymore. Nobody's eating in our car, right? Oh. They do eat now. Yeah, we've given in. But if your car looks like a tornado went off in it, you're not doing it right. I'm going to say it. You're not doing it right. If all of your meals is McDonald's, listen, there's more problems than just what you're putting in your body. Because what you're doing is you are laying out a path of what this life looks like to your kids. And they're learning. They're learning life is all about on the go. Go, 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 go. Instead of looking at each other right in the eye and seeing how you're doing. At the table, do you see it in verse 4? Behold, he wants us to look back at verse 3. You've read verse 3, but read it again. Behold means to look. Get your eyes wide open here. Listen, attention, attention, attention. Verse 3, this is the blessing, the fear of the Lord. This is the result. Verse 3, your wife will be like a fruitful vine within your house. Your children will be like olive shoots around your table. Look at that blessing. Isn't that an amazing blessing, friends? Do you think it is? Are you convinced? That's what the Lord has for you. This is your lot. Continuing forward, the future of the family way. We've seen the foundation. We've seen also the fruit. The focal point is around the table. And then fourthly is the future of the family way. The Lord bless you from Zion. See, the blessing comes from a city that's way up on a hill called Jerusalem. This is where God used to live in a specific, special way. And what he is saying is, the Lord blesses you from Zion. It's coming from God. This blessing is not something that you achieve as though you must climb the hill to get it, but it's something received as though it's rolling down the hill for you to catch it. This blessing is not something you achieve, but that you receive. It says, may you see the prosperity of Jerusalem all the days of your life. This blessing, it starts inward, fearing the Lord, walking in his ways. It bleeds over into my work, also into my home, to my wife, to my kids, but also it has an impact to the entire community in which I live. This is the family way. The Lord wants to use your family. You know, sometimes some families want to stay completely out of the world. They want to try to keep their kids hidden from everything else, all those bad things that's happening out there. Don't watch TV, don't watch anything else, don't listen to this kind of music. And they're constantly trying to protect. And then their kids get out there and there's wolves all around them. They have no idea how to protect themselves. Listen, your family is not on an island. They should not live their life on an island. If you're looking to protect your family from the world's coming, friends. They're coming. You better prepare them to live life not just being, in the world, but also not of it, right? And so, your family has a mission, and it's to make a difference in this community and the community you live in and around the world. May you see the prosperity of Jerusalem all the days of your life, going from one to the next to the next. May you see your children's children. This is where our grandparents come in. And I know y'all think it. You love your grandkids much more than your kids. I get it. Mine do too. But here's the deal. That is part of the blessing. Sometimes grandparents, they're retired. They don't want to do any more work. They've worked all their life. But listen, your grandchildren going to those games, that's worth it, you know? Showing up to those academic performances, that's worth it. Man, what you grandparents in here, I see you out on the ball fields. I see you being involved in your kids, your grandkids' lives, and I love it. That's part of the blessing from generation to generation to generation. This is the family way. Who's with me? Anybody with me in the house? Come on, man. This is the family way. Lastly, though, if we're honest, we fill a gap. We see that Psalm 128 looks wonderful, but we've experienced things that are different in our life. I get it. Our homes are often messy, efforts feel small, fears sometimes outweighs faith. And I get that almost every week. You know, I do, I'm with you. But for the next 4 weeks, I want to challenge you, all the men in the room. I want you to memorize Psalm 128. All the men in the room. Memorize it. If this is the family way, why not just let it take a hold of you to mold you and to make you and to helping you know this is the good life. Psalm 128. But it's not just a description of the ideal family life. It's a shadow of a greater reality. And it ultimately points to the one who perfectly feared the Lord and walked in all of his ways, Jesus Christ. And that's where he achieved all of these blessings. And just by coming to know him, you can participate in that blessing. You can taste of that fruitful vine. even if you don't have a spouse, even if you're not married, whether you're single or your loved one has passed away, person that you were married to for 55 years, whatever it is, that this way, this blessing comes down from Jerusalem because Jesus Christ went to the cross for us. He took on a curse so that you could take on the blessing and experience all of what life has to offer through that fearing the Lord and understanding him, knowing him like I knew Mr. Worley. So to the dad who feels like a failure, we need to look to Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life. To the single mom wondering if you are enough, look to Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life. The joy that you have is right there, all of it wrapped up in him. To the empty nester wondering if the fruit was ever there, look to Jesus. If you have prodigals that are going off in many different directions, listen, and you're feeling like you're tasting bitter fruit all the days of your life because you're wondering where they are and when are they going to come back, oh, look to Jesus, friend. He is the true vine that you can abide in, remain close to. He will bring you joy even as you wait. And to the one who longs for a family and feels alone, oh, look to Jesus. Because, in fact, this is his family. Will you stand as I pray?